Trauma and nutrition. What is trauma and how nutrition supports healing? We're going to talk about a really big topic, trauma. What is it, how it shows up in the body, and the ways people often cope maladaptively, and how nutrition specifically can actually support the healing process. Now, even just the word trauma can feel intimidating. I get it. But my goal today is to take it down from a really big, scary word into something we can all understand and talk about. This isn't going to be a heavy academic lecture. I want it to feel more like a conversation. I'll share concepts, metaphors, and a few practical strategies. And I invite you to think about how this connects to your own personal experience, or perhaps those that you support. So let's talk about what is trauma first and define it so we're on the same page. When we hear the word trauma, we often think of war, disasters, and assault. And yes, those are all examples. The American Psychological Association defines trauma as, quote, an emotional response to a terrible event like an accident, sexual assault, or natural disaster. But trauma can be many things. Sometimes it's a single incident, like a car accident. Other times it's chronic and complex. Think about domestic violence, poverty, ongoing abuse, or neglect. Think of trauma like a deep bruise. Sometimes it's from one big blow. Other times it's from repeated small blows over time, or small hits over time. Both can leave marks. I want to quickly talk about PTSD though for a second. Not all trauma leads to PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder, but it can. PTSD often involves a sense of ongoing threat, avoidance of situations, and flashbacks. Complex PTSD even goes deeper, affecting relationships that you're involved in, self-concept, and really significant emotional dysregulation. So just like not every bruise turns into a scar, not every trauma leads to PTSD. So now that we've defined trauma, let's figure out how it's experienced in the body for a second. Here's a key thing. Trauma doesn't just live in the mind, it lives in the body. Bessel van der Kolk, who is a physician, specifically a psychiatrist, has done a lot of research on trauma and explains that emotions and physical sensations that were imprinted in trauma, imprinted in the body, think of a capsule, right, in the brain and body, are generally experienced as disruptive physical reactions, not memories. People may experience intrusive memories or thoughts, flashbacks, disturbing dreams, dissociation, or zoning out, kind of this out-of-body experience. But they can also experience physical reactions like heart pounding all the time, sweating, nauseousness, especially when reminded of that trauma. It's kind of like hearing a song that instantly brings back a memory, except with trauma, in it might be a smell, a sound, or a look someone gives you. And suddenly your body reacts before your mind can even catch up. So over time, unresolved trauma can also lead to chronic pain, headaches, and cardiovascular disease. So in other words, the body keeps the score, which exactly the book that Bessel van der Kolk wrote. Before we can hit nutrition, we got to understand the brain and nervous system and how they all kind of work together a little bit. So let's talk biology for a sec. So the nervous system is divided into two parts. The first part is the central nervous system, okay? And that is your command center. Your brain is your command center. So your brain and your spinal cord make up the central nervous system. So simply put, the brain has a left side and a right side. The left side of the brain is more about thoughts, logic, and the right side houses a lot more of the emotional piece of our